You check your bank account, six figures staring back at you. Your investments are solid, emergency fund, fully loaded. But when the waiter asks if you want dessert, your stomach tightens. That eighth slice of cake feels like a threat. Sound familiar? There's a fascinating reason your brain does this, and understanding it might change how you think about money forever. Act 1. The Paradox. The setup. Here's what's strange. Financial fear doesn't correlate with bank balance. I've studied hundreds of cases where people earning six figures still panic over minor purchases. Meanwhile, others with modest savings spend freely without the same emotional weight. The difference? It's not in their wallets, it's hardwired into their psychology. This isn't about being cheap or smart with money. It's about how your brain learned to process financial decisions years before you ever earned your first paycheck. So what creates this invisible wall between you and your money? Why does spending, even when you can afford it, feel like you're doing something wrong? The answer lies in three psychological mechanisms most people never examine. Act 2. The three forces. Force number 1. The inherited script. Your financial personality was written before you could count to 10. Think back to your childhood dinner table, not what was said directly to you, but what you absorbed from the emotional atmosphere around money. Scenario A. Maybe you remember the silence that followed when someone asked for new shoes. Not a no, just that heavy pause that communicated volumes. Kids become fluent in reading these unspoken tensions. Scenario B. Perhaps you witnessed the quarterly ritual, parents hunched over bills, voices lowered but sharp. You didn't understand APR or mortgage rates, but you understood the emotion. Money equals stress. Here's the critical insight. Children don't learn financial literacy from these moments. They learn financial fear. You weren't taught that money requires careful planning. You absorbed that money is dangerous, fragile, and could vanish at any moment. The mechanism. Repeated exposure to phrases like, "we can't afford that," doesn't create budget awareness. It creates scarcity consciousness. Witnessing parental money fights doesn't teach conflict resolution. It teaches that financial decisions threaten relationships. Feeling guilty for needing things doesn't build responsibility. It builds shame around having needs. The result? Your adult brain still runs that childhood program. Even with a healthy income, spending triggers the same fear response you developed at age 7. Force number 2. The evolutionary trap. Your ancestors survived by hoarding. You're still running their software. 10,000 years ago, humans who saved resources survived winters. Those who spent freely didn't make it to spring. Natural selection favored the anxious, the cautious, the hoarders. But here's the problem. Your brain hasn't received the update that we no longer live in that environment. The science. Research in behavioral genetics shows that risk aversion has a hereditary component. If your parents exhibited extreme caution with resources, you likely inherited a predisposition toward the same behavior, not through learning, but through DNA. The modern manifestation. You see someone with $500,000 invested, refusing to spend $50 on a quality meal. You watch financially secure people delay retirement indefinitely, unable to trust their own calculations. You observe high earners driving 15-year-old cars not from environmental consciousness, but from deep-seated fear. The paradox. The trait that once ensured survival now prevents you from enjoying the fruits of that survival. You've won the game, but your brain won't let you collect the prize. Force number 3. The control illusion. Saving money isn't about security. It's about the feeling of security. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most financial anxiety isn't rational. It's not about actual risk. It's about perceived unpredictability. The psychology. When you save money, you're not just storing value, you're purchasing the sensation of control in an uncontrollable world. Every dollar in savings tells your nervous system, see, we're prepared, we're safe. Spending, conversely, introduces uncertainty. What if I regret this purchase? What if an emergency happens tomorrow? What if this small choice creates a cascade of financial problems? The addiction. That feeling of preparedness becomes self-reinforcing. More savings equals more perceived safety. The number grows, but the anxiety never shrinks, because the anxiety was never about the number. The guilt layer. For some, there's an additional dimension, moral guilt. When you're aware of others struggling financially, spending on yourself can feel ethically wrong. Your brain creates an impossible standard. I can't enjoy my money until everyone else has enough. This transforms money from a tool into a moral burden. Act 3. The cost of caution. What you're really losing. Here's what nobody talks about. Extreme saving has a price tag that doesn't show up in your budget. The time debt. You spend decades accumulating wealth for retirement, then can't bring yourself to retire. You've traded your healthiest years for a future you're too anxious to claim. The experience debt. You skip the concert, the trip, the dinner with friends, not because you can't afford it, but because spending feels wrong. Years later, you don't remember the money you saved, you remember the moments you missed. The relationship debt. Your partner wants to travel. Your kids ask for experiences, not things. But your fear of spending creates distance, resentment, and a legacy of the same anxiety you inherited. The ultimate irony. Many people die with 6 or 7 figures in the bank. Money that represented security but delivered isolation. They played defense their entire lives and forgot that the point of the game was to actually live. Act 4. The path forward. Rewriting your money story. Understanding these forces doesn't make them disappear, but awareness creates choice. Step 1. Acknowledge the script. Your financial fears aren't facts. They're stories written by childhood experience, evolutionary biology, and the human need for control. Recognizing them as learned responses rather than truth is the first step. Step 2. Define enough. Run the actual numbers. What do you need for genuine security? Most people discover their fear threshold is far beyond what math supports. Create a concrete number, and when you hit it, practice trusting it. Step 3. Start small. You don't need to book a luxury vacation tomorrow. Start with micro experiments. Order the appetizer. Buy the book you've been eyeing. Take the slightly nicer hotel room. Notice that the catastrophe your brain predicted doesn't materialize. Step 4. Separate safety from suffering. Financial responsibility doesn't require deprivation. You can save aggressively and enjoy your life. These aren't opposing forces, they're both parts of a healthy relationship with money. The real question: what's the point of financial security if it never translates to actual security? The feeling of being able to live freely. Closing money is a tool, not a score. The goal isn't to die with the biggest number in your account. It's to use your resources to build a life that feels worth living, secure enough to sleep at night, but free enough to actually enjoy your days. Your childhood taught you to fear scarcity. Your DNA taught you to hoard. Your psychology taught you that control equals safety. But you're the one who gets to decide what those resources are actually for. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more psychology-backed financial content. And if you've ever felt that knot in your stomach over a small purchase despite having plenty saved, drop a comment. You're not alone in this. Thank you for watching this amazing video. I'll see you in next one. Subscribe for the truth.